One of our major discussions today is going to look at the issue of national identity or national identification and see the latest from that. It's about some few days ago now, we read on our national dailies that there seems to be an announcement on the Twitter handle of the National Identity Management Commission's Twitter handle that henceforth Nigerians are going to be paying certain fee or fees for renewal of national identity number and also national identity card. The fee ranges between 3,000 and 5,000 as the case may be. And the question that seems to follow is that what is the role, what is the major responsibility of the National Identity Management Commission? Because for some people, the issue of national identity or national identification, it's a social security issue. It's something that the national government or the federal government should handle for our citizens. Well, to look at all this today, we are so privileged to have Austin Odile, who's a public affairs analyst. Sir, you're welcome to this program this morning.
Good morning, my brother. It's nice to be here.
Also, we're expecting...
good morning, viewers.
Yeah, we're expecting pharmacist Uyi Oriaki to join us. And also, we are sent, invitation to Mr. Iyekowa Onayuse, who is the coordinator of the National Identification Management Commission in Edo State here. But because of very, very busy schedule, I just spoke with him a while ago, and he really pleaded and apologized that subsequently he should be able to come on this program so that he can bear his mind on some of the issues that we're going to be talking about here today. Mr. Austin, you're welcome one more time.
Thank you.
Now, we're talking about national identification and the latest story now, the latest gist in town that Nigerians are going to be paying a certain fee. But let me quickly ask you, what do you think is the role of the National Identity Commission to the citizens of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. NIMC, that's the National Identity Management Commission, is a body statutorily established by the NIMC Act 2007. It is an offshoot from the defunct Department of National Civic Registration. Amongst others, it is charged with the responsibility of registering citizens and legal residents in the country, to create a legal database for the country, issue a unique national identity number to qualified citizens and legal residents, issue a smart card to qualified citizens and legal residents, and then in collaboration with the National Population Commission to register deaths and births. These are just some of the responsibilities the Commission has to citizens.
Okay. Well, let me quickly also let our viewers know that Mr. Austin Odile is not speaking for NIMC. He doesn't, neither is he working for NIMC, but these issues are public issues.
Yes, of course.
And of course, he's a public affairs analyst, so he has the right to also, engage some of his thoughts.
Of course.
On some of the issues that we're talking about here today. But let's look at the latest now. Saying that Nigerians are going to be paying 3,000 and 5,000 for registration, reissuing of national identity card and all that. What's your take on that? Well,
it is a sad commentary in our national life that a body like NIMC that is charged statutorily at least to provide services to Nigerians to help create at least a database for the country. Because just recently, President Muhammadu Buhari, in inaugurating his Presidential Economic Advisory Council, charged the body that leads to create, a database where valid and genuine statistics that will help in, the planning for the country, will be developed. This is against the backdrop that he has said that it's like we don't have valid statistics in the country, that the ones we have and work with are churned out by the IMF and the World Bank. This is exactly the gap, one of the gaps that this commission is expected to fill. But when it was established, actually it was established as a consuming body to provide social services and not to generate revenue. But one thing most Nigerians don't know is that the commission is very different from the DNC, that is Department of National Registration, from whose ashes this one rose or evolved. One, because that one was fully owned, run, and funded by government. This one is between government and a private consumption.
Consultants.
So, yes, consultants and all that. That is why it is a commission. I think I cannot exactly say the percentage now, but I know it's not 50-50. It is, I think that of the federal government is even lesser. That is why the problems, the commission is facing, which is amongst others, one, funding, provision of logistics, office space and accommodation, and then the registration centers. So for now, because of the awareness, in Nigeria, that at least they need to be registered to have their own unique identity, and the requirement, for example, of other government agencies. For example, JAMB has recently come out to say for the 2020-21 examinations, prospective candidates must have a national identity number. So that has a kind of created a surge for registrants. And so for the commission, what I glean, at least from my interaction, for example, with the public and officials of the commission, for example, is that they are hamstrung, for example, with finances. Because, one, if the commission is not wholly funded, even those bodies at MDA that are wholly funded by government, for example, are they adequately funded? The answer is no. So they are just managing. So I think it's just a way of the commission devising a means, to generate revenue internally for them to meet up with their operations.
Well, that seems not to go to where with Nigerians when you say generate revenue, because when we talk about social security, this is probably not the only attempt to keep people secured in the country. Remember, our voters card is some form of social security.
Yes.
Now, I think that the mindset of the average Nigerian is that if I can get a voters card unpaid for, then of course I should be able to get a national identity card or even a national identity number unpaid for. That
is what it should be, because if you look at section 16, I think from D down, you see that is the social and economic whatever responsibility
of
yes,
government.
They are of government. Yeah. They are out there. They are spelled out there. Certainly. So, like I said before, that the difference between the national identity card and that of the permanent voters card is different, because INEC is wholly is owned, run and funded fully by government. But to NIMSI, it is not so. But that is not to obviate the fact that it is a responsibility which the government owes to its citizens, because if you go to other clients, for example, these things are provided free of charge. I think the problem we have actually is the fact that there is no harmonization, because at the last count there are more than 5 bodies, for example, engaged in creating registration and creating a secure database for citizens. You have the BVN, for example, the bank verification number. You have the National Population Commission. You have the driver's license, and then you have INEC, and then you have this one. You even have the tax identification number. You see, all of these ones, for example, are to ensure that at least every Nigerian who is registered on these platforms, for example, goes straight to a single. That is not what is obtainable. So the problem, like I said, is I think one, I'm not in support of these charges, because the charges ranges, for example, from even 15,000, because they're saying that if you want to change your date of birth after registration, it will attract a charge of 15,000.
That's renewal.
And yes, no, it's not renewal. Okay. It's not renewal. You want to change maybe the information, like your date of birth.
But you're kind of renewing it.
Well, that is how it is. I'm coming. Yeah. Then the card itself has an expiry date. So on expiration, you are expected to pay 3,000 naira for renewal. Okay. And then if it is lost, the contentious one now that they just came out to spell out is that if you miss your card, if you misplace your card, or if it is stolen and you want to replace it, you pay 5,000 naira. And people are saying no, it should not be so. I am in support. I'm on the side of the masses on this issue, that it should not be so, it should be free.
Okay. Now, let us also look at, because there are reasons to kind of doubt. I mean, some say, I was going through some information concerning it, and I read that even NIMSI is even saying that, okay, you can pay for the national identity number. As in, they can give you the national identity number without the card. I mean, what's the essence of having a national identity number without giving me a card to that I can show anywhere for it?
I really don't want to believe that NIMC will say that, because at least
it's right there. You can Google.
Because one, they have told us that that card is unique in the sense that you can use it for a wide range of transactions, even in the bank.
Okay.
So what is the essence, for example, if it's just your national identity number, which you can just copy and then you discard the card? No, the essence is for you to register and get a card, because like I said, that card can verify anywhere, even outside the shores of this country, once it has been activated on their platform. One, you can use it on ATM, POS, you can use it at embassies, because at least your data as a citizen or a legal resident in the country are embedded in that. There's a chip on that card. That is why it is unique. So to me, I find it absurd for NIMC to come out to tell Nigerian citizens to say, oh, you may not get the card. You just the NIMC card. No, it's a way of maybe covering up their tracks or their shortcomings. It is not supposed to be so. Once you register, it is incumbent on the commission to print a card and give to you.
Okay. Well, let's take a short pause now. Remember, the program is still this morning on ITV, and we are looking at the national identity number, matters arising, NIMC asking Nigerians to pay the fee between 3,000 and 5,000, as the case may be, for them to get the national identity number. Please stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Good to know that you're still there in the program this morning on ITV. We have a new entrant now, pharmacist Uji Oriake, just joining us on the program today and looking at the National Identity Management Commission's request that Nigerians should pay 3,000 and 5,000 naira for them to get their national identity number. Pharmacist, you're welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you so much, Evans.
Yeah, let me just come to
let me start by apologizing to our viewers out there for. I'm sorry that I had to come late.
All right, but you've been following, what we'll be talking about now. What we're trying to establish here. What is your immediate response when you hear this news?
Well, you see, the very idea that a lot of people are reacting against has more to do with these new rates that the Commission has issued. But you see, that is not really my area of concern. That's not really my area of concern, because you know, the National Identity Card scheme started way back in 2007. It received some new energy in 2013 when government wanted people to come into I
think before then, I remember the first time I did it was way back in the 90s, 91, 92.
It was even 2000, 2001.
Okay, yes,
that was the first time. That was the first time.
There was this act that was enacted in 2007 that gave it some more popularity amongst people.
Then we had the DNCRO, Department of National Civic Administration.
Yes.
So it was collapsed. It was I will not say proscribed, it was worn down, and then from it an act
came up.
2007 gave birth to NIMC.
Okay,
you see, what I was driving at is this: people are reacting right now to the new rates, but the commission, as it were, has a right to fix all of this. Probably because people are not very, very well informed and they grumble. But what I don't seem to understand is this: since its inception, I discovered that according to the statistics of the NIMC, 37 million Nigerians are expected have registered for it. Registered from the age of 16 upwards. Now, that is a paltry 19% of the expected population that are supposed to have it. Out of these, 700,000 cards are still laying fallow there, picked. Uncollected. Now, the question is, why, on the other hand, if you look at the voters' registration, within the past how many years before between 2011 and up till this moment, we have about 84 million Nigerians that are registered. The very last window of registration that was given, 15 million more persons were registered. So the question is, how come people do not respond to having their identity cards in this manner? Who is to blame? Why are the people looking at it that way? Okay, 3 reasons may be profiled. 1, the people do not see what the ID card can do for them, that other forms of identification
may not
do for them. That's 1. Secondly, I've had to visit 2 centers. On each of the occasions that I visited, I'm sorry to say this, there were people there who expected that you pay some token before you, go through the process and all of that. And again, the statistics from the NIMC tells us that there are 164 centers scattered all over the country, and the pattern they use in putting these centers together is a center should be able to attend to 50,000 persons. Now, when you get there, it's overcrowded most of the time. There is one inside Uniben here. It's overcrowded most of the time. And you see some of these practices going on. And the people just ask themselves, why do I really need it? They have not been educated enough as to the importance of it. And again, the Nigerian system has not started using the NIN, the National Identity Number, as a measure for security.
Yeah, but we understand that very soon. Take, for example, the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board has said that with effect from 2020. With effect from this year, the next...
Yes, you are not writing JAMB. I'm not writing JAMB.
And you can't sit for the exam.
It's true. You are not writing JAMB. I'm not writing JAMB. We know that. It's good to start from there. But you will wonder, why there's so much delay in this era of great technological advancement? Because it could help us in a lot of things. Security, to protect the citizens, and what have you.
Yeah, pharmacists, that seems to be the point now, the big question. Now, like for me, I have about 4 cards of identification, all about me.
Oh, yeah.
I have my voter's card,
Yes.
I have my taxpayer's card, I have my driver's license
Oh,
card,
yes.
all carrying the same information. And of course, I can use anyone for any purpose.
Transaction.
Now,
Even your BVN.
yeah, my BVN card is there. Now, the question is, don't you think Nigeria should be working towards a situation whereby we just have one form of identification, pharmacist?
You see, that's what happens in South Africa. The truth of the matter is that we have people in the corridors of power who are not engaged in critical thinking.
No, you cannot say so.
That is my opinion. That's my opinion. Because now we are in an era where technological advancement, you don't even need to develop your technology. You only just need to study the pattern of technology of others and bring it and make it better. Look at the PVN thing that was brought some time ago. You see how it has helped check a lot of things.
All right, now let me come to you, Mr. Austin Udinle. A while ago, you were trying to say that one of the major problems is that we really don't have a database. Take, for example, the former body now that was saddled with registration of citizens for social identification and all that, and of course it collapsed. Now, the database was not passed to NIMC. I mean, how do we go with all these kind of situations?
You see, the major problem we have as a country is that we are not learning, and we are not ready to learn. Why I say this is because, one, there's no continuity in anything we do. Number one. Then the ideas might be there, but the commitment to execute and to bring these ideas to fruition is the major problem. I'm coming to your issue to say, look,
Yes.
why is it that we plan, and at the end of the day, no matter how laudable they are, they fail? It is because there are no men, no human resources who have the will, the capacity, you understand, to do. If not, I think the communication thing, at least that Obasanjo came up with, this GSM, came, and then some time ago, the NCC came up to say all telcos must get their, all that subscribers to their system must be registered. That is that you must register your SIM card, that is subscriber identification model. One, the process was at least to beef up to a kind of ensure that at least it boosts the security of the country. One, through this scam, internet scam, kidnapping, and all other security challenges. As I speak with you today, has that been realized? It was on the basis of that MTN some time ago was fined, that kind of brought a kind of a confrontation between Nigeria and the parent company South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, what we are saying is, up to now, as we are speaking here, go to Ring Road. You know there are some persons still selling pre-registered SIM cards. Pre-registered SIM cards, and they are working. So the question you want to ask, what is the regulatory body, NCC, what are they doing? What is his function? What is his responsibility? Actually, it's very, very important, like he said, that if we are able to harmonize all of this together, for example, number one, over 50% of the security challenges we have in this country would have been solved. But it is not there. You register your SIM. For example, if these SIMs are registered, how come persons are kidnapped? They establish contact with their relatives and friends. They make, they negotiate, and at the end of the day, huge sums of money are paid as ransom. And then our security agencies or operators and all the rest will say, look, we are handicapped, we cannot track them.
Oh, yes.
Why? It's because they are not registered, they are not in the system. You see, the problem with NIMSI now, where you have, tell me, we are said to be almost 200 million naira. 200 million Nigerians.
Nigeria.
You understand? See, out of this, at least 180 should be registered.
Oh,
you
yes.
understand? Qualified to register. And INEC is doing just that. Now, how come, if INEC, for example, you have 20,001 registration centers,
yes,
to cater for this population, why will NIMSI have just 168 centers across the country? One, they are inadequate. The direct data capturing machines are not there, even where they are there, for example.
Mr. Austin Odile, let's be mindful. No. We don't have them here. Just like what I said earlier on, that I invited the coordinator in Edo State, but he told me that because of his very busy schedule, that subsequently is going to come. So let's...
These are issues agitating the market. Because what we are saying is, for example...
it's only fair enough to let them speak for
at least with this, definitely they will be able to maybe they respond. What we are saying is, like he mentioned, so I mentioned that before. Look, he has gone around some centers. There are serious allegations of mischief amongst the workers. If you visit the centers, actually, because I belong to some NGOs, for example, we go around and we listen to the cries of Nigerians and all the rest, we go around. The road going on there. Now they tell you need to pay 200 naira. Why? They need to fuel their generators. Power from the national grid is non-existent. When you talk of crowd, population, for example, like I said before he came, now with this announcement by JAMB, do you know the demographic, the youth demographic, for example, those who will be writing JAMB next year. Those who have written could not make it and will still write. Do you know the population? You understand? Why will these centers not be swamped? I don't know if they have increased the center for a donut that is made up of 6 local government areas.
That's the NIMSI center.
Yeah, the NIMSI center. It's one at Auchi. Whether they have increased it to 2 or 3, I'm not aware. So you can imagine people come from Akoko Edo, Agenebu there, Sabo, Afuze, all congregating at Auchi. It's not that if you come that day you'll be registered. They imagine the bad roads, imagine the economic, financial condition of these poor Nigerians. So what are we talking about? So why not just at least, if it is the private sector, the government and its partner, for example, why not come together, put us together and say, okay, this social percentage of naira or funding and all the rest will come from you, so that we get these things done.
Okay. Now, pharmacists, perhaps some of the things we are talking about here also borders on lack of proper and adequate orientation. A lot of people don't even know this whole thing we're talking about here now until they are told that, look, if you don't have this, you cannot do this. Whose responsibility is it to really orientate the people concerning national issues?
The national orientation agencies are there. Then their work is spelled out for them. But again, the question I want to ask, is there not a deliberate ploy to ensure that the people are kept silent or they are kept uninformed about these processes?
Deliberate
yes,
ploy by who?
The government. I'm sorry to say this. Let me buttress my point. You see, at a time, even still, up to this moment, we begin to talk about electronic voting in our country. To have a system of electronic voting that will, run an electoral process devoid of this huge level of criminality and all of that is in the interest of the people. But is it in the interest of those who want to hold on to power at all costs? No. Is it something they will want to invest in? At the end of it, shoot themselves off power? If you begin to look at it this way, because all of these things that we are talking about, they can definitely be streamlined. BVN is there. So many other things. They can even without the people going back to these centers to put their names in the register.
You can get the information.
You can get all this information of Nigerians. And you will now be left with those who are not yet in any of these networks, so that you bring them into the system. And we begin to have a sanitized electoral process that will throw up leaders at the local and the state and national levels who can represent the people. People who have good intentions. But that's not what we have. And that's not what certain persons, certain powers who are out there are holding power, that's not what they want. What they want is to hold on to power at all costs. And the only way to hold on to power at all costs is to employ means that are less than noble. So they can, they can be there. So this is our service. When you look at it from this angle, you also look at the issues of this country from this angle. These are simple things that we cannot put together. They are technology. You bring people together and you harmonize these things and fill the lacuna. But unfortunately, lip services are paid to these things. And yet, we begin to move as if we are a country that is rudderless. We don't know where we are going. At this point in time, we still talk about bringing people under the ID card scheme without sources. Even though we have started the process, a lot of money is voted in. Some persons just use that as a means of sustaining themselves. And the country is left to fumble and wobble.
Okay. Now, Austin Odile, let me come to you. There seems to be a misunderstanding, talking about the NIMSI. Some say that is a national entity, a national policy commission that is owned by government. Why some say that no, it has some private partnership coloration, so they are at liberty to make charges on anything that they do. What do you think is the true state of the issues here?
That is the true state of the matter. It's a collaboration between government and private investors.
But why do you think government will leave such an agency that is saddled with such important responsibility to some private
concerns?
Because you see, when government wants to shy away from its responsibility, they talk of privatization. They begin to tell you that it's not their responsibility to do this, to do this, to do that, that it is for the private concerns. I know even before the NIMSI Act came on board, there were attempts to bring in some international organization from, I think, France, Paris, and I think that failed. So what we're saying is, to me, if you ask my opinion, which I'm ready to voice, it should be, this NIMSI should be fully and wholly owned and funded by government. Because whoever is coming in as a private investor is bringing in his expertise, his capital, for example, and definitely he must get returns on his investment.
Oh, yes.
It is not coming to play the role of Father Christmas on behalf of government. It is the responsibility of government to play Father Christmas because of the role, the responsibility the Constitution has trusted on the laps of government, just as the same Constitution, for example, has trusted some. I have my obligations and responsibility to government, and I know them. I try as much as possible to do them. Foremost, which is to pay tax. I pay my tax. My tax is deducted at source. Every other thing I do as a responsible citizen. So, to me, I think why we're having this problem, which I said before, it's just for the fact that the private investor, for example, have refused to commit whatever was in the agreement that you're going to bring in such and such amounts of money over a relative period of time, at least to ensure that certain machineries are deployed to ensure the registration of all citizens and legal residents in the country. Let me tell you, do you know now, as at the time I registered in 2013, the name card, that same day, on registration, I just waited for about 1 hour, my name card, national identity card number was issued to me and my wife.
That's the national identity number.
Yes,
not
number.
yet.
The card is not yet out.
Yeah.
But the next year, that is 2014, my wife's number, my wife's card came out. As I sit with you now, my card is yet to be issued.
And you registered
I
before
registered
your wife.
before. Then that was even there. Do you know now? If you go to register now, you'll be issued a paper with your tracking ID card number, devoid of the name number. It's not there. So they tell you, come in a week's time or 2 weeks' time. The problem being that the number is centrally generated. So you imagine from the 164 centers, all of them registering and then sending
the
their data information to the central server. And then for this number to be generated. And Nigerians, some of us workers at least.
Anyway, we are going to have, unfailingly, I'm going to promise my viewers on this program today, we're going to have Mr. Eyekowa or Narise, who is the coordinator of NIMSI in Edo State. I think he has some questions to answer. On the more serious note, he has some questions to answer. He called me this morning and apologized that he cannot make it for this program today. Otherwise, I really invited him, and he's not here. So as we wrap up now, Master, so how do you think we can get out of all this issue of social security, private establishment trying to take advantage of Nigerians and all that?
Well, since you and I are convinced that government, for reasons best known to it, is not really so much interested as to, looking into these issues.
No, you can't say so.
Yes, because you mentioned kidnapping a while ago. And we know what kidnapping has done to this country, as it were. And yet, efforts are not being made to protect the citizens. Evans, we do not require any other evidence to lay accusations against government. Not just this current government. It has been so for a very long time now. Now, we must keep on the hues and the cries. We must engage ourselves in critical thinking and make suggestions to governments on what they should do. Not that they don't already know, they do, but we must keep it up because we are stakeholders. We are citizens of this great country, and there's a lot we can begin to talk about. And also talk to the national orientation agencies. I think it behoves them to also go deep down to educate the people at various levels. Now we are talking as people who are even schooled a little bit. There are those other at the interior, they don't know what we are talking about now, and yet they are citizens of this country, So we should not leave all these things alone for government to, like somebody said, politics as it were, is too serious a business to leave in the hands of politicians alone. And
but it's not politics. No.
It is. Political power gives you that willpower to enforce some of these things. Look at what is happening in Rwanda. It is because there's a government that has a political will. A government that means well for its people. It begins to address issues in every facet. And you begin to see that when things work in a particular facet of nationhood, it begins to work in the others because it is the mind, it is the spirit that we introduce into it that makes the difference.
Beautiful. Austin Ondile, what are your marking words?
Well, if the country is to make a headway in confronting and combating these hydra-headed security challenges across the country. First and foremost, we need to get issues right. Number one, harmonize all these registrations, all these data we have, harmonize them to a central server database. Where, for example, if there are any security infractions, the relevant security agency that is charged with that responsibility will know where to go to for assistance. That is number. And then number two, the government too must be proactive and not being reactive. So with this issue surrounding the registration, by NIMSI and all the rest, I think if the commission, as they claim, is not adequately funded, then the government and its willing partner should come together to deliberate, iron things out, and see how they can strengthen this institution so that the current suffering, the sufferings being, Nigerians are receiving at the various registration centers and the alleged extortions will stop.
And sister agencies such as the National Orientation Commission should also come out to do their job, orientating the people,
sorry, Evans, you know what I think. We are not a people that are desirous of doing the right thing, basically. We look at the profits, every individual, and that is the problem. That's the problem. You see people manage their private businesses and do well.
Okay. All right, let's take it there. We'll just stop it over from now. Thank you so much, Austin. Please extend the handshake. Extend the handshake. All right, so we'll take a short pause now so that we can join Dr. Mrs. Stella Obonigo and Dr. Sado. Look at Sado as we look at issues in South Africa. We are told that xenophobic is in South Africa again. Only yesterday, about 3 people were attacked. Very, very sad to know. Very too soon. It's too soon.
You can't but link all of these things together.
Anyway, let's take a short pause now. Please stay tuned.